Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news and THru HIker update. Well, it got a little hot outside this weekend, and I've been working out in the heat all weekend doing some landscaping with Miss Ramdino out in the yard. So I decided to bring it into the Ramdino studios here, and we'll just come to you from there and inside this nice AC. So I know you folks out there on the trail, you'd love to have some AC, so I'll be thinking about you while I'm here filming this. But in any case, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on the trail out there. So we got a lot of folks that are still out there on the trail. Got a few summits. There's been a lot more summits than what we're going to mention here, but that's because we can't possibly track everybody. But in any case, we got a few folks that are reported in and summited. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But let's go ahead and talk about what's going on with the folks that are still out there on the trail. So we got Dark Web and Ninja. They are past Grafton after cowboy camping under a boulder at the Notch. So they are continuing north. Dingo is north of Gorham, and Dingo met Huck on the trail and said also that had run into ginseng, and that ginseng had taken a bad fall. Now, we hadn't really been talking a lot about ginseng, hadn't been tracking ginseng. However, I do have a mutual friend that has another channel or another website, and that is posttrailmagic.com. You can go and check that out. That is there for folks who are needing help and community after they get off the trail, kind of just a little discombobulated because what goes on the trail, you're used to being out there and being in that trail life, and now you're back into the matrix. And so posttrailmagic.com is some resource you can use there. And Wendy's the webmaster there and in charge of what's going on there. And they also, by the way, they have weekly on Sunday nights, typically they get together on a Zoom call and just chat about how things are going out there. So it's a really good support source. But anyway, Wendy is one of my sources there, and Wendy had indicated she got in touch with ginseng. She had done an article on ginseng, and ginseng did get hurt, but ginseng's okay. Going to be getting back on the trail here shortly if she's not already back on there. So Funkster is at the Kennebec River. They made it to the unofficial halfway point at Harper's Ferry, and they kind of assessed their progress, and they decided to turn their Nobo into a flip-flop. So they flipped up to Baxter State Park before the winter closure that was going to come up, and now they are southbound back down to Harper's Ferry where they'll be completing their hike. So appreciate that information there, Funkster. Goob has passed the 2,000 mile mark. Seb and Quicksilver, they are at the knock today or possibly tomorrow. They have under 140 miles left to hike. So they said that they are still having a blast out here every day and counting themselves blessed for being healthy enough to make it this far. That is the truth. There's a lot of folks that have to get off because of injury or what have you. So if you're able to hike the whole thing and not have to get off due to injury or not have to get off completely for an injury, then you were doing great. They indicate on Labor Day they had met two other Sobos near Newfound Gap, and they were Loco and Medicine Man, and they said they should be finishing the trail on the 13th in 95 or 92 days respectfully. So that's pretty amazing to do the trail in that short amount of time. And they also ran across the happily married couple, and they are of course they were formerly the Hurries, but they are now the happily married couple, and they've kind of gone by that name the whole time. But anyway, they are north of Fontana Dam, and they hadn't seen them since Front Royal, which was over 4 months ago. So, and they indicate it's great to see people still on the trail chasing that dream of through hiking the AT. So I just think, one, that's an awesome attitude that they have out there. But one thing I think is really neat is that just shows you again how the trail brings people together. And folks they hadn't seen 4 months ago, they never thought they'd run into them again, and here they ran into them down on a completely different part of the trail when they decided to completely change up the way they were hiking. So I think that is pretty neat the way the things work on the trail, and it really shows you that it's a smaller community than people really think it is. Even though it's spread out this year over 2,193.1 miles, it's still a pretty tight-knit community, and you just never know when you're going to run into somebody that you've already seen before. Tex, if you prayed for her feet, she says thank you because it worked. She is back on the trail, and her feet are doing great. and she hasn't had any kind of problems with it. She is almost getting ready to finish. You may recall that she had to get off the trail because of an allergic reaction to some adhesive in the leukotape that she was using, and that was supposed to be to prevent blisters. It was causing blisters. Well, she is back on after having to get back and forth off a couple times and going to see the doctor. Back on now. She's using Chacos to reduce the friction on her newly healed skin, and she is now in the 100-mile wilderness. She is heading on to Katahdin, and we ought to be seeing her probably summiting within the next week. So hopefully this time next week, when I bring you the update, we'll have Tex on that summit. Looking forward to that, Tex. Huck, he's heading in the Mahoosic Notch, and he again says he's happy to have made it to Maine. Bandit is in the Monson Hostel and is hoping for a September 16th summit. The happy married couple, they have known again for a while as the Hurries, and now they're back to the happy married couple. But they said since their flip-flop from Maine down south, the AT in Georgia and North Carolina has been fairly empty of THru HIkers. So really the only people you're going to see are flip-floppers or Sobo at this point in time. But they indicated when they read the registers from January to now, they are really glad that they chose a flip. Said September is such a nice time to be down here. Of course, at higher elevations, leaves are getting ready to start changing. Said the trees are starting to turn. The temps aren't bad. Privies are clean. Oh, what a plus. And the campsites are not crowded. Water sources are good. And they'll be through the Smokies before it gets too chilly. And they just say it also feels safer in this pandemic world too. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to their finishing there. And remember, they'll be finishing in Delville. So Turtleback used to be, not yet, but he earned the new trail name of Turtleback after saving a box turtle's life, finding him on his back and flipping him back over. So he is somewhere north of Delaware Water Gap, and he's a 50-year-old hiker, and he is a quarter way done reaching the New York Connecticut border from Shenandoah National Park, and then he'll be flipping up to New Hampshire. Says he really enjoyed the section of New York kind of known as the deli section, where people can stop, get town food on a regular basis, where it's right there at the trail, and he can't believe how much the deli food and pizza he ate while posting the best blood sugar levels that he has had in years. So he says, God bless the Appalachian diet. So you've heard me mention it before about the Appalachian diet and folks losing just a ton of weight out there on that diet. I never had thought about that it also could lower people's their insulin or their blood levels for people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic. So I thought that was pretty cool to hear that coming from him on that. That's neat to see that his levels are coming down, and hopefully that will continue even after the trail. Streak made it to the border of Baxter State Park, and amazingly, he is going to be zeroing for 10 days in a row in Millinocket because he is going to summit with his son. That's how long it's going to take for his son to get there. So he wants to wait and share that experience with his son, but he's through there. He is at the border of Baxter State Park. He's probably going to hike on in to the ranger station there, maybe a little further to where he only has that last 5 miles to go when his son gets there, and then he will be doing that. Two Knees and Quilt, they are in the Bigelows. Luscious, Nate, and Two-Pack, they are near Manchester Center. So we also picked up a Sobo pure hiker. In other words, he started at Katahdin. He's going all the way to Springer with no flip-flops or skips or anything. And that is Gazelle, not the Gazelle from the Blazing Bakers. This is a completely different Gazelle. But he says that he is somewhere south of Damascus, and he has got about 15 or so folks that are around him within a day or so of him. Some of them behind, some of them in front of him. Says there's a big group coming through the Triple Crown area, and he has been pretty much alone since Gorman. So sometimes that's just how it works, the way your pace works, particularly on Sobo, where you don't have near as many people hiking near as much of a bubble as you do with Nobo, and it gets kind of spread out anyway, like it always tends to do. So he's been by himself. He says that Loco and Medicine Man are into Georgia recently, and they should be the first two Sobo Pure Summits. He also indicated that the Rabbit Hole Hostel, which is the trail south of Damascus around the Shady Valley, they are closed while the owners are out hiking, so they would normally service that area, and that area is a place where you cannot be camping, either stealth camping or in shelters, because of some bear issues they've had in there. So you don't have that hostel to be able to that you could go and stay at to help you in that area there right now. So just keep that in mind through that area when you're hiking, that you're going to have a long ways to hike in there, if you stick to the bear warnings and the no hiking that right now they're indicating, the National Forest Service indicating you're not supposed to be doing in that area. So we need some more Sobos out there, need some more Sobos to update. Of course, we always want to talk about the Nobos, always want to talk about the flip-flops, so we'll take everybody, but particularly we don't have hardly any Sobos. So if you are a Sobo out there and you want to be part of our update or Nobo or flip-flop, let me know. Send me your information. Those links are down in the description section down there. And go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Share it with some of your other friends out there who are other Sobos or other hikers, so that they can spread the news and you can help me grow this hiker community and grow this support community for the THru hikers that are out there. So we had some summits from the last update. Misc, he summited last week. He was number 671. So you'll recall that Runway, she summited several weeks ago, 826, and she was number 527. So we've got about 140 plus there that have summited since the end of August till now. So that's a pretty good bit. Also, Peacefoot, which is not somebody we've been updating, but a subscriber wanted me to mention him out there, and be glad to mention anybody. Peacefoot is a friend of his he graduated with from high school in North Carolina. He summited Katahdin on the 3rd, and he is a 3-time Triple Crowner, so that is awesome. And his Facebook page is Valenzuela's Hike the Appalachian Trail. And so he's hiked, of course, the PCT and the CDT and now the AT three times. So that is awesome. Peacefoot, congratulations on that. And then Hillbilly, also known as Life Alert, has summited on 9/11. So congratulations, you Hillbilly. We had been tracking him, and he had been updating us each week. So congratulations, and that's just awesome to see the folks that are, anybody that summits, but particularly people that we have been following along the whole time. So just to kind of give you some stats there, in 2019, at this time, we were somewhere in the mid-500s with summits. In 2018, we had a total of 728, with 2018 having more total finishes than 2019. So right now we are tracking with the 2018 numbers so far. So looks like they may be up from 2019. We will see. But if you've summited, send me your summit photos along with the number that your registration number was with the Baxter State Park there and the summit pass they gave you. Send that to us, and that helps us track how many folks are summited, but also just gives us data from year to year that we can report back for next year. So send those to me, and we want to go ahead and just rejoice with you and honor you and include you in your monumental thing that you've done that will be with you the rest of your life. So a couple things on Trail Angel, Spineless Cougar, and Roof Walker. They have completed their Trail Angel work for this year, and they are done for the season. Roof Walker's been in touch with me. He said what a joy it was for every one of the hikers that they helped out there, that they served there on the trail. So that's awesome to hear that anytime we do any kind of Trail Angel work, mission work, what have you, it just seems like we get more out of it than when we feel like we're given. So that's awesome. Glad to hear that, Roof Walker. He also said he met a THru hiker Walmart, and I have met Walmart. If it's the same one, met Walmart. I met him down at Uncle Johnny's. He met him up there, and this was last year when Walmart was hiking. So if it's the same Walmart, second year that he's hiked, and I think he had actually told me there at Uncle Johnny's he had hiked the year before. So maybe the third time for him. But anyway, he met him, and he said it's like meeting a best friend that you never knew you had and always needed. So that is awful cool. Roof Walker, appreciate you sharing that with us. I am looking for the Sobo bubble right now, so I'd like to get some more folks reporting in here on where you think the Sobo bubble is. If you've tracking a lot of hikers we can definitely say this is where the bubble is. For Sobo folks, I've got a few Trail Angels that want to kind of get out there and help the Sobo folks that are coming through since Nobo season's winding down. So we want to do what we can to put those two folks together, put those two groups together. So if you could, any Sobo hikers, get back in touch with me. If you got a good indication where the Sobo bubble is, I'd like to hear that information as well. And then some trail news. So the bridge at Longhouse Creek in New Jersey that we had reported got washed out in all the rain they've been having there the past couple weeks, it has already been repaired. So a huge shout out to the trail maintainers up there in New Jersey in that area who got it fixed so fast. So that is awesome. And that ford was like a 4-foot ford at times, when the water's really high there. Otherwise, it's not something that you can just walk around. You would have to walk through the water. So appreciate you trail maintainers getting on that so fast. And then ATC also put out that they have some hostels up in the Mawson area have had some COVID issues, meaning they've had some COVID outbreaks. And we had also reported that the Ravel River Hostel in Gorham had closed down recently for the season for hikers because of the COVID outbreak. So hikers, if you're still coming into Maine, still coming into Monson, hadn't made it through the 100-mile wilderness yet, then keep that in mind with the hostels in those areas. Make sure that we're doing what we can to avoid getting COVID. We want to keep you on the trail, and of course we want to keep down any kind of continued pandemic issues going on. We want to keep those down too, but we want to see you summit. Don't want you getting sick, at least until you get summited anyway, but we don't want you getting sick, period. And then also, just as a reminder, the Kennebec River Ferry Service runs on September 30th will be their last official run. So they run from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. until September 30th. And then after that, they will only be available on an ad hoc basis. The price will go up for that. And at some point in time, they will just, they may not be available at all. And even after September 30th, they may not be available at all. So keep that in mind, that you need to be past the Kennebec River Ferry Point no later than September 30th. And then as I've been hiking out here this year, I have kind of seen some things going on in the trail, but at trailheads and in particular around shelters where you really don't expect it, and that is an abundance of litter. So people leaving stuff in the shelters, people leaving and throwing tinfoil and things that ain't no way they're going to burn into the fire pit, almost like they're cleaning their pack out when they're leaving, or cleaning their trash bag out when they're leaving, and let the next people take care of it. So I saw a sign online that I thought kind of spelled out exactly my feelings about that. And litter is not the place to be doing it anywhere, but particularly out there in the wilderness, out there on the trail for others to see it. So let's practice leave no trace, folks. I greatly appreciate that, so that everybody can enjoy their experience on the Appalachian Trail as much as you do. Folks, that's all I get this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out there.